morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the participants joining for this talk. I'm aware that RAA Online is now truly a global learning platform, and I'm happy to be a small part of it. Welcome back to the returning participants for the part 2 of the series of talk on ophthalmic imaging. And I welcome the participants joining us for the first time. For those who are joining for the first time, this is the second talk of a series of 4 lectures on ophthalmic imaging, which will be laid out in the format as shown below. Now, for ease of understanding and ease of presentation, we have separated this into 4 topics, 4 lectures, each covering 2 topics. And today's talk will be on anterior segment imaging, mainly focusing on color photography of anterior segment, gonioscopes, meibomuscopes, and corneal topography, including corneal mapping. So without much further ado, let's jump into the talk. Okay, external ophthalmic photography has an ever-increasing role in photo documentation of both the eye and the adnexa, mainly for macroscopic work, including oculoplastics, but now with an increasing presence in the documentation of cornea, glaucoma patients, iris pathology, and lens changes. The added attraction of this technique is the low reliance on sophisticated instrumentation and the vast array of digital technology offering significant benefits and quality. Not to forget the ease with which the latest cameras can integrate easily into the electronic medical records for review and reassessing during follow-up visits. In order to achieve a good quality anterior segment photograph, the standard recommendations will include 1:1 magnification in order to be as true a reflection of the eye as possible, and to have a sufficiently long focal length for a good perspective of the image. Adequate space for suitable lighting is quite crucial, as we do not want any reflections obscuring the pathology of interest. And of course, the lenses to achieve all these above are of crucial importance. So digital single lens reflex cameras have become the mainstream option for anterior segment photography in view of the high quality and easy connectivity. The availability of interchangeable lenses have tremendously improved the ability to capture images in varying magnifications and widths, such as a single eye documentation with a macro lens plus bellows, a half-face documentation for bilateral eyelid pathology and proptosis documentation with a teleconverter, or for that matter a macro lens with an extended focusing mount to capture almost a full-face photography. The options are endless. If we look at the history of the single lens reflex cameras, as with everything else, you'll find that the need drives the innovation. The need to be able to see what is being captured by the camera led to the innovation of having viewfinders. Now, viewfinders initially were separated from the capturing line of vision in the form of twin lens reflex cameras, which are not very common in use. Many of us might recollect seeing this twin lens reflex cameras where the photographer will be looking down into the camera from the top to see the viewfinder's image before capturing. The issue with these viewfinders, including the twin lens reflex and the ones with the direct optical viewfinder, was the difficulty in terms of avoiding the parallax error. That causes a loss of depth and loss of focus. Now, as mentioned in our last talk, the incorporation of mirrors and pentaprisms were a landmark in the paradigm of photography, which changed the landscape of photography world forever. With the availability of single lens reflex cameras, The next obvious development was the digital single lens reflex, which replaced the film of the SLR cameras. Now, the mirror serves a dual purpose of providing a view of the object of interest as well as, view of the object of interest through the viewfinder, as well as protecting the sensor, the digital sensor, from exposure to light until the moment to capture. As you can see, this is the light path. That's the mirror which reflects the light onto a pentaprism. That gives you a view through the viewfinder with no parallax error, as it's viewing exactly the same image as is coming through the main lens. And as soon as the photographer is ready to capture, at the click of a button, the mirror moves away and the image is captured straight onto the digital sensor. While it's all very intuitive with the recent digital single lens reflex cameras, it's useful to think about some of the important parameters that can be controlled in order to achieve high quality imaging of anterior segment using the digital SLR cameras. The commonly quoted triad, that's called the exposure triangle, includes the ISO standard of films or sensors, the aperture opening size, and the shutter speed. Now, let's look at all of them in a bit more detail.